Are you ready to become awesomer? Hello everyone, my name is Umar Hamid. I'm your host on the No Limit Selling podcast, where industry leaders share their tips, strategy, and advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Just before we get started, I've got a question for you. Do you have a negative voice inside your head? We all do, right? I'm going to help you remove that voice in under 30 days guaranteed. Not only remove it, but transform it. So instead of the voice that sabotages you, there's one that propels you to much higher levels of performance and success. There's a link in the show notes. Click on it to find out more. All right, let's get started. Today, I'm privileged to have Greg Stromberg here. He is the founder and CEO of Canned Water for Kids. Greg, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Umar. I'm excited to be able to talk to you today.
When we chatted, it was yesterday on the phone, one of the things you said that really kind of struck me was you had said that at some point you had this need to leave a legacy and make an impact on the world for your kids and your family. Take me back to that moment, and then we'll go into what Canned Water for Kids are.
Yes, late 2008, I had a full-time job working for an international company that manufactures printing ink. That decorates all the cans in the world, and I had a very successful career at that point, and 3 healthy kids, 9 healthy grandchildren, and I just felt that something was missing. I needed to do something different and give back to the global community.
And was there something going on at that point for you that made you think those things? Were you in your retirement, or what was going on?
Well, a couple things. I just, like I said, I felt there was something missing, but I attended a metal decorator summit put on by the trade magazine, Metal Decorators, and they had a gentleman from the UN speak there on packaging, and basically said to all the people, this was in Chicago, late October of 2007, and he basically said, what are you doing to help the people in the world with your rigid packaging containers? Because most of the food and the water got contaminated, and it was unprotected, and people literally are starving to death because they couldn't get the food in a secure way to the people. So I kind of took that as a challenge and had an idea, and the CEO of Crown Cork and Seal was there. I presented an idea that I had about taking this can and giving it a higher purpose, and that's kind of where Canned Water for Kids was born.
And tell me what the organization does and why it's important to support it.
Well, our purpose is to make sure that every child in the world has access to clean, safe drinking water. Having 3 healthy kids and 9 healthy grandchildren, and being made aware of some of the problems in the world with kids dying. Back then it was every 15 seconds. Now it's every 20 seconds from waterborne diseases. And after hearing that summit, I felt this is a perfect opportunity to use the aluminum beverage can to promote a cause, kind of using the can as a poster child for this need.
And it's just astounding that as we were talking, of course, I took a sip of water from my glass, and I don't have to think twice about whether this water is safe or not. And it's just something we take for granted that devastates the rest of the world.
Yeah, having said that, obviously in the developing countries, the water is polluted, and older and younger people are dying every 20 seconds or getting a waterborne disease. But, we have the problem in the U.S. Flint, Michigan is a perfect example where they had lead in the water. And there are 2,000 cities that have contaminated tap water that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. And we helped support Flint with about 5 truckloads of water when they had the crisis, and the crisis still isn't over. And we have the problem here in Milwaukee.
Is there a list somewhere online with the cities that are contaminated that we know of?
I'm sure there is, but I would tell you that every major city, because of the infrastructure, the leaded pipes and the laterals to the leaded pipes and the older homes that have the lead connections, the water gets contaminated, and it has a high level of lead. For example, the city of Milwaukee, the whole inner city, I can supply you every zip code that has a lead content in it, and this has been going on for a long time. And to add to the problem, they had the lead paint problem.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's another issue.
So tell me about taking this idea to your CEO, and how long did it take from idea to actually getting the first set of cans filled with water and ready to raise funds to change the world?
Now, Umar, back in 2008, after that summit, the CEO of Crown Cork and Seal, who's now retired, Bob Truitt, and Jerry Gifford, who's now the new CEO, they made a commitment. They have one of their plants up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, make a skid of cans for us that they donated. I had them filled, and I was off and running. And somebody in Milwaukee found out about us, actually a young University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee student who was with Engineers Without Borders, came to me and said, "Hey, Greg, I heard that you've got a charity with canned water for kids that you're trying to help people, and says, I have a project for you in the highlands of Guatemala. Can you help us out?"
Brilliant. And so tell me about that first project.
Well, that first project was to get the engineers down to Guatemala, and they go down there on their own time and their own money, and we give them resources to go down there. And I was just starting out, and I wrote a check out for $10,000 to Marissa Jablonski, who's now got her PhD in environmental engineering. Wrote a check out to her, and without even selling my first can, and I guess that was my motivation to sell
That'll
more.
do it. And so you said providing resources. Since they're paying their own travel to get there, what resources do you provide to help them bring clean water to communities?
This would be all the piping that they had to purchase down there to get the water to the village. So each home had running water. They had to build a container to purify that water. So the concrete, the cement, the reinforcement for all of that, the chlorine that they needed, to purify, and all the testing, we helped out.
Good. So what's kind of interesting is just what true leadership really is, where just adding chlorine in water was something that was new and considered unsafe and dangerous when it was first thought of, but we take it for granted now. What's the reaction when you go to third world countries and you want to treat the water? What's their level of acceptance? What are the hurdles that you guys have to overcome?
Well, I wasn't directly involved in that, but I can tell you that it took some convincing because of the lack of education of what exactly it was going to do to the water. So Marissa and her team were able to convince the village political people that it was not going to cause them problems. It was going to make them even safer. And, they were getting sick.
And I can't think of anything that would be more traumatic than losing a child. And I guess we experienced it in this country decades ago, like maybe a century ago, where there was a really high mortality rate. And now we're just so accustomed to having kids that grow up healthy, and the rest of the world does not have that luxury.
Right. I mean, we can go back even 10, 20 years in Milwaukee. They killed over 1,000 people with Cryptosporidium when their water got contaminated at the filtration plant. Since that time, they've made a lot of changes, but with the loose regulations going on right now, there's a real danger for all of us. And I would be very skeptical to drink, I hate to say this, any tap water without knowing the source, how it was purified, and how it got to you, either by pipe or by container. That's the beauty of what we do. Is our container, the aluminum can and bottle, literally gets canned right at the site. It doesn't travel long distance. It's secure when it gets to the end user and the container is infinitely recyclable, unlike plastic, which goes into rivers and lakes and oceans, breaks down and contaminates even more our water. It actually literally dissolves in it. It's very scary.
And I think the water you were telling me, is from a really ancient glacier.
Well, we had two sources when we first started out, but our water now comes from Norfolk, Nebraska, from a very deep, clean aquifer. So people can be assured that they are drinking very pure, clean, and safe water.
All right, so let's talk about you're selling this water, and I think it was 95%, 95 cents of every dollar gets actually put to use to help these projects to get water in places where they need clean water. And there are no employees, you don't take a salary, and there are no offices, and so you're extremely lean. So tell me about the business. Where are you promoting your water? How can our listeners, my listeners, get that water and help the cause out?
Well, we have our own website, cannedwaterforkids.org, CANNEDWATER, the number 4, KIDS.org. They can order right there and use their credit card or PayPal. And we sell our 12-ounce cans and bottles. They can also go to Amazon. We're not in any major stores, so right now we're all e-commerce. We ship direct. We can get the water out almost the next day. And, I'm happy to say that we're in some of the major national parks like Denali and Yellowstone and Yosemite, Port Angeles. We're at a couple of universities like St. Louis University and I said Washington University in St. Louis, excuse me. And we're in a number of hotels, but we're slowly getting the word of mouth out about what we're doing, and we hope people see what we're doing and ask their local store to carry our product.
So right now, when you think of companies like Brita that make those filters to clean water, how effective are those?
Well, they are to a certain point, taking out some of the solids, but it does not remove. For example, I live in an area where there's radium, natural occurring radium in the granite rocks, and when the water level goes down, the water gets contaminated with radiation, radium, and so it's right now it's over the limit. There are other chemicals, some of the medical byproducts cannot be removed easily, and it takes special filters and technology to remove that. Water is easily contaminated, left open in open air. Just the air we breathe is contaminated. So it gets in the water in the containers that it goes into. Depending on what that container is and how well it's sealed and was it pasteurized or purified or whatever, those are all critical elements that can affect it. But most of these filters take out some of the bad stuff, but they can't get everything.
Okay.
So it's important to have your water, tested by a laboratory to make sure you know what you're drinking.
I think that is great advice. And so tell me how many projects you have done and what are the new projects you guys are working on?
Well, we've done 11 wells in Zambia, Central Africa. Started in 2008. That's when we put our first one in. We're on our 11th year with Engineers Without Borders and help support them in Guatemala. In fact, they're down in Guatemala right now. Our newest project is in Kenya, Africa, with some new nanotechnology called the pod systems from a company called Stonehouse Water Technologies, and they're part of a technological hub in Milwaukee, and they've partnered with the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, which started a freshwater school, and also they partnered with Madison and Marquette University and Milwaukee School of Engineering, all working to solve the world's wastewater problems and ensure that the water is safe. So We work closely with that startup company and have a pod system, like I said, for a hospital and school in Kenya that literally takes polluted water out of a lake, a very contaminated lake, and makes it safe, clean, and actually it's very healthy water. It comes out better than it originally started.
Brilliant. I'm going to put these links in the show notes. Greg, thanks so much for sitting down with me, and I am really happy to have met you and help you fulfill your mission.
Umar, thank you very much. One last statistic, just to show you what how money, why we think every penny is important. At 2.5 cents will keep a child in Zambia, Central Africa, in clean water for 5 years.
2.5 cents?
2.5 cents. I had to do the math. I can tell you it costs us $10,000 to do a well there. It serves a village of over 400,000 people, mostly children. You do the math, and I was pretty conservative. I had to do it a couple of times to make sure I was seeing what I saw. But yeah, that's what 2.5 cents will do for a child in Zambia, Central Africa, where we do work.
Greg, thanks so much for sitting down with me, and have a magnificent day.
You too. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.